After playing Field Combat, I had to go check. Yes, there are some good Jaleco Famicom games. But with 4 releases in 5 months, and the high water is Ninja-kun, let's just say Jaleco isn't leaving a good impression at this point. Field Combat was actually a brand new arcade game when the Famicom game was released. It reached arcades about 6 weeks ahead of the home version. Not that you could really tell, it feels like it could be a game from 1981. Theoretically, Field Combat works like Reverse Galaga. You control that spaceship-like vehicle, and you can fire missiles with the A button that explode at the crosshair, or you can fire a capture beam by pressing a B button that will suck in enemy troops and put them on your side. You unleash your forces by pressing the A and B buttons simultaneously, and whatever troop is shown in the lower right-hand corner is what comes out to fight. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Kind of a proto-real-time strategy crossed with a shoot-'em-up. The problem is, none of these systems work in a way that makes gameplay fun. You start with 3 of every unit, and can have a maximum of 6 units out on the field at once. So right off the bat, there isn't much need to use the capture beam. It's also really difficult to handle what's coming out. You need troops right then. You don't need them in 10 seconds when it rotates over to the correct unit. So what troop deployment really amounts to is, if you have a large enough group in front of you, you throw out whatever unit is active at the moment. If you start to lose troops, but aren't in a desperate situation, then you watch for whatever unit you're currently fighting on the stage to come up in rotation and release them, because you can always refill that. Targeting in the game is a mess too. You only hit where the crosshair is, and it takes your missiles a while to get there. The same holds true for the capture beam, but once you fire the capture beam, you're locked in place. Even once you've captured a unit, you're still locked in place, unable to do anything for a few moments after it completes. That's a pretty long process, and if an enemy happens to spawn off screen and walk in to attack you while you're in the middle of it, you're probably dead. The one saving grace of that terrible targeting system is that it goes for enemy shots as well, so they can fly over you before they explode. Occasionally, the enemy release a UFO of their own to capture one of your troops. You can shoot it down for some bonus points, but life is cheap in Field Combat. You can recover that troop in a heartbeat, so who cares? Let them capture them. You'll just capture the other 3 guys who are there to replace them. There are 5 different troops you can deploy in Field Combat. The generically named Soldier, who fights on foot. The tanks Hell 99A. The anti-aircraft piece FL 880. The armored cars Keith. And the helicopter Louis. The thing is, I didn't really notice a whole lot of difference between any of these units. You can't really deploy them tactically. So even if there was a significant difference between them, I never see it. So you've crawled your way up the battlefield, and at the top of each of them is the enemy fortress. 4 turrets that have to be shot down. They're actually not that hard to bait once you can actually get up the battlefield. Once all 4 are destroyed, you drive into the gap and the enemy surrenders. There's 6 different battlefields in Field Combat. Each have slightly different obstacles. They all have the same general layout, though, of 2 screen heights with the fortress at the top. The real challenge is making any progress at all, because at the start of the stage, enemy troops will just flood on screen. And every time you destroy one, another one will just walk in. So you're often stuck in place for a while at the start of stages, until you've cleared out enough troops that you can roll forward a bit. Before I end this, I have to mention the music in Field Combat. I hope you like the first few measures of Ride of the Valkyries played over and over again. Let's just say it wears thin very quickly. And that's really all I have to say about Field Combat. This is a nothing game. Japanese sources barely acknowledge that this game exists. I can hardly blame them. Field combat is slow, clunky, none of the mechanics interact well. The control scheme is something that you'd have to look up. This one was not a fun experience.